Hey, I'm a Thane, best paladin in the world, and this is what I did last week. It may have been a quiet week, but man was it exciting. I'll just get straight into it. I won my first Plunderstorm game this week, and I was so excited. It was actually kind of a messy game, and I almost died twice earlier on because at the beginning, me and a guy landed in the same area, and we ended up fighting over one of those yellow chests, which I don't know why we wanted that so bad. But this guy was definitely better than me at the start, because he popped out some roots and then Earthbreakered me down to 33% and then casted Starbomb. I just barely got out of that bomb, but stepped right into another trap and got rooted. All his stuff was on cooldown, so he's just sitting there meleeing me, and fortunately he ate a full cast Mana Sphere. But at this point, I'm at 3% health and he's at 20. I try and successfully get a little bit of distance so I can get a tick or two of Healing Brew, and that gets me to 24% health, but then he hits me down right back to 14. At this point though, I think he got a little bit too sure of himself and started tunneling because his ability should have been up, and he was just chasing after me trying to get that melee kill. Which worked out for me because my Searing Axe came up and I just turned around and wailed him with it. I survived with 5% health, which wouldn't be the last time I got to a single digit health percentage in this game. Not long after that, I'm just sitting in a bush, minding my own business, and there's two dudes fighting. I think the one guy saw me move and decided to come firewhirl near me, so I wasn't in the bush anymore, but he ended up dying, and the other guy that lived had about 15% health left. I proceeded to completely whiff a full cast Mana Sphere while he's healing, which is even extra embarrassing. So he got back up to 57% health and then proceeded to kind of own me, to be honest. Fortunately, again for me, he ate a Searing Axe and then a couple of melee hits, and then he did a Quaking Leap directly into my Mana Sphere, which just came off cooldown. So as this game is going on, I just keep finding ambushes. So I go into a bush and pick up another ambush. I had to keep moving to get into the safe zone, which I tried to do that as conspicuously as I could. It was actually kind of funny. At one point, there was another guy who had the same idea as me, and I just had a good laugh as I see him go into a bush and then slowly snake his way around me and then near me. Somehow, just by being a bush, I make it to the final four and into the small circle without anyone really messing with me. The last three guys were fighting, and I only got caught out of my bush by being too close to one of their abilities, so I don't even think they saw me moving in. And if they did, they were very much so more focused on the people they were fighting. So at that point, I kind of just ran around and let them do their thing. I was mainly saving my abilities in case someone was low and I could finish them off quick, especially if they just finished fighting someone else. I tried to keep my distance, but I got really close to death once there was only 3 of us left. The other 2 saw me at around half health and teamed up on me, and I got down to 8% health, 16 hit points. And I had another 25 seconds left on my heal. I kited as best as I could, and then I just YOLO'd into a bush, which I legit think kind of worked because the other 2 were more focused on each other at that point and kind of forgot about me for a bit. There was an Earthbreaker that again I barely got out of, and that would have for sure one-shot me. Fortunately, one of the guys got low enough to where the other guy focused on him because he was closer in distance. And on top of that, no one can catch me, boy. Eventually though, it does get to be 1v1, and I'm able to heal up to about 60% health, and the other guy is at 35. And at this point, my heart is racing. I'm sweating buckets. And I'm trying so hard, but failing not to panic hit buttons. I think the other guy tried healing, but he got clipped by a swirly, so it negated his entire heal, which really worked out for me. I think both of us were hesitant to be too aggressive, and we're just hoping the other person would die to a swirly. But eventually, I decided that I need to go for it. What I wanted to do was that I wanted to use that chain link ability, hoping he would continue running away from me while I ran the opposite direction. So that way, he would get pulled into me and I would Searing Axe him to death. But somehow, I hit my 4 for Chainlink, and then immediately hit my 2 for Searing Axe. I don't know if he saw that, or knew what I was doing, or just happened to go into Night Fae at the same time, but he ran right up to me, and again, I don't know if he was just panicking, or maybe he forgot, but he stayed in that form the entire time. I don't know if he knew he had to cancel it. But right as he got on top of me, I blasted him away with a Mana Sphere. And wouldn't you know, a winner winner, a chicken a dinner. But after this though, I was hyped up. I was as excited as Mr. Llama is when he's ready to rip off his shirt. That was definitely the most fun I've had playing Plunderstorm, and I was amped up for a good hour afterwards. When I wasn't doing Plunderstorm, I was leveling alts for a decent part of the past week. I was actually able to get the remaining 4 characters I had left, so my Priest, Rogue, Evoker, and Monk, all to level 80 this week. So now I have 1 level 80 for every class. And then outside of that, I wasn't really doing a whole lot. I spent a lot of time in Legion doing some skinning. I'm trying to get a rank 3 skinning thing, so it's taking a while for that. I did my weekly stream on Wednesday where we went through and did some mount runs, some Nerebar Palace. I think we jumped into some delves as well. I likely won't be around tomorrow because I won't get home until really late. So I might just do Thursday this week instead of Wednesday. So definitely check it out. It'll usually be around 2 o'clock Pacific. come hang out, come say hi, all that fun stuff. And then speaking of mount runs, this week I actually spent the most time doing mount runs since probably War Within came out. Obligatory Dragon Soul mention, LOL. I did all my Tomb of Sargeras runs, Nighthold, Sepulchre of the first ones, Sanctum of Domination, and then a few other places I think as well that were quick. But that'll take us into the mounts for this week, which I'm so excited to talk about because I finally got my favorite mount in this game. But let's start off with the lesser stuff first. For 5,000 plunder, I bought the Plunderlord's Midnight Crocolisk, so I now have all the Plunderstorm mounts. First thing after reset on Tuesday, I killed Geiger in Maldraxxus and got the Predatory Plague Rock mount. That was a really good start to the week. For 5,000 Time Warp badges, I got the ur'zul Flesh Ripper. And then immediately after buying that, I went down to Argus and did another mount run, and I finally got my Shackled ur'zul. It took 47 kills, it's fortunately not that long of a raid, but this has been my favorite mount since I first saw Wowhead or MMO Champion talk about it when the raid was in PTR. It's been a long time since getting a mount actually excited me. Usually it's like, oh cool, this run's over. But this one definitely got me hyped up a bit and got me, stomping my feet a little bit. I do still need to get Tayshalak off Agrimar, so I will be running that weekly still, but the mount, I'm so glad I got it. It was a very quiet week for achievements this week. I did not get any more points, but I did get 3 feats of strength. The first was Plunder Siege, which is to get 100,000 plunder. Next, I got Plunder Wonder, which is to win a game of Plunderstorm. And then lastly, I got Class Connoisseur, which is to get max level with every class. In other news, I didn't watch a whole bunch of stuff this week, but I did finish off Season 3 of Bel-Air. And I just really love that show. I was not expecting to like a Fresh Prince reboot, or remake, whatever it is, as much as I do this one. If you've never seen it, it's a more dramatic and serious interpretation of Fresh Prince, but it's so good. But that is it for me. That is all the stuff that happened to me and what I wanted to talk about. Let me know how your week went, what you're up to, what you're enjoying, what you're not. Let me know how far you've gotten in Plunderstorm and how you like it. I appreciate all the subscriptions. You guys are awesome. If you like this video or any of my others and you aren't yet subscribed, you should, because my ego is fragile and without you, I'm nothing. If you still haven't seen the best guide on how to play Plunderstorm, definitely check out the video that's linked on screen now. It's a surefire way to get number 1, and if you haven't watched it yet, you're really missing out. Thanks for watching. I love you lots. I'll talk at you next week.